Here to tell us this morning, our very first keynote speaker. He's here to tell us as to why talent is important, and the new National HR Talent Management Standards will be explained by Marius Meyer. Marius, with 20 years experience, Marius is a master HR practitioner and mentor with the SABPP and is responsible for the quality assurance of 59 learning providers and HR accreditation of all universities. In South Africa, he has facilitated training and consulting interventions for more than 100 companies and has lectured in HRD at the University of South Africa, UNISA, and the University of Johannesburg, UJ. He is also head of research and an advisory board member for the African Society for Training and Development. Marius has authored 22 books and 150 articles. He has a passion for leadership, strategy, governance, change management, and people development. As an anti-crime activist, he is also a founding member of the 4th largest community policing forum in South Africa. Please help me in putting your hands together for Marius Meyer.
Thank you so much, Ashwin, and it's wonderful to be with the Rising Stars and this wonderful summit over the last couple of years, and it's just wonderful to see how it has grown. This is really about talent and the essence of good talent in South Africa. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a mixed message today, and it reminds me of the story about the biology professor who was really trying to teach students the essence of biology, and he took this glass of water, put the water in, and he said to the students, "Do you see what I do? I'm going to take a worm. And I take the worm," and he put the worm into the water. Guess what happened to the worm? Okay, it was just swimming quite nicely in the water. Then he took another glass, he poured whiskey in, and he said to the students, "Now, let's see what happens to the worm." And suddenly the worm just died. And he said to the students, "What's the lesson out of all of this?" And little Sipho there at the back put up his hand. He said, "If you don't want worms in your stomach, drink whiskey." And that's a bit of the mixed message I'm going to give to you today. I'm going to say to you, and just to prove to you that I've moved on from the academic work to the workplace, is I'll start with the conclusion. And the conclusion is that yes, we've got pockets of excellence as far as talent management is concerned, but as a nation and as a country, we have not yet come to grips with what talent can really do for us. And that's why I'm so excited about Rising Star, because this is the birth of a revolution in terms of what we could and should be achieving when it comes to talent. The leading nations in the world are nations that really make talent a national priority. And I don't think we're there yet. So the bad news is I think we're far behind when it comes to good talent management practices. But the good news, and that's the hope that I'm bringing to the HR community today, is that we are also the first country in the world with a talent management standard. Okay, and that's what I'm launching with you today, to see how the talent management standard is looking, so that you can also embrace it and make it to become part of the way in which you do your HR and training work. Okay, so there is hope that we can get talent right, and we should be getting talent right. In fact, in support of what Ashwin is doing with the sports field, with sport, I want to say the people who work in sport are probably the only people who really understand fully what talent is all about. Because they only select the best people. Am I right, Ashwin? Most of the time. Most of the time. Their model is you only select the best if you want to win. Now, if that's the case, why don't we do that in the corporate world? Why do we sometimes appoint incompetent people, and then we are surprised if we don't achieve our business targets? So I think we can really learn from the sporting community in terms of how talent could and should be embraced if we really want to make a success out of talent. Okay, are the slides on or not? Are the slides on? Okay, there you are. Okay, so my message to you is, yes, I do believe South Africa has got talent. So we do have these pockets of excellence. Wherever you go, there's very good pockets of excellence. I mean, just to give you a very, very simple statistic, do you know that FNB has got, First Rand Banking Group has got more actuaries than the whole of you'll find in Nigeria? Okay, so it's just one company in terms of their financial capability and the actuary capability. That's how powerful they are in terms of the knowledge. That's on the positive side, but yet in many other fields, we really have got a serious shortage of talent in certain sectors. If you just take pharmacists, there's a 12,000 shortage of pharmacists in South Africa. Now, just imagine what Clicks can do with these, and ShopRite, with these little Clicks and ShopRite stores all over the country, if we can fill that particular gap, let alone the importance of reducing unemployment in South Africa. So I want to say to you today, yes, South Africa has got talent, but there's still a lot of things we need to do to ensure that these pockets of excellence becomes the norm. And it's not only the Sasol's and the ArcelorMittals of this world that's doing it, but all organizations really embracing the essence of talent management. And that's the revolution that we really need to start. Okay. I'm sure some of you are already sitting and say, where can I get these slides? And there's an answer. I can give it to you as you sit here. As you sit here, it is on your cell phone. Okay? If you believe in talent, you have to be smart. Okay. How many of you have got smartphones? Hands up. Very good. 77. Fantastic. Okay. How many of you have BlackBerries? Okay. Only 7. Okay. Only 7. Okay. How many of you have got iPhones? Okay, fantastic. That is 62. Okay. They say if you can't afford an iPhone, you have a BlackBerry. Oh, sorry, Saki. Okay. There's the slides. It's on your phone. You can access it there via SlideShare. You can also get it on Twitter, or if you don't understand any of that, you can just go to the site hrtoday.me, and you can quite easily just download it there. Or if you prefer the slow way, you can get it via email tomorrow. So it's up to you in terms of how you really utilize it. Okay, so my message is we have to be smart. The one thing about talent of today is the most talented people are really technological, they've got the technological savvy in order to really to be effective in the way that they do things. Okay. I must say at this point, every time when I see, I've got an absolute passion for the youth, because that's the potential of this country. And wasn't it lovely walking in here this morning and to see the students there of HR Tix? Just the way in which they welcome you as a professional and the way that they do things. And that's a young talent. I mean, they're probably the only students in the whole world that has got business cards. I mean, that's incredible. So if you need to employ talent, I think HR Tix is the place to start. This is really incredible in terms of professionalism and this vision of a mindset. So I really want to encourage the HR and training managers, go and meet those students at HR Tix. They've got drive, they've got energy, and they've got talent. And this is exactly what Rising Stars is all about. So thank you for our students from the University of Pretoria. I think the reality in the business world is that we sit with the business case for strategic talent management. To a certain extent, I think it's very sad that it's necessary for us to preach to the HR community to do talent. And similarly, if you look at all the laws that come from the Department of Labor, isn't it sad that the Department of Labor has to tell the HR and business community that you must do skills development? Therefore, there's a Skills Development Act. Now, won't it be sad in another 10 or 20 years if the government turns around and says, we actually need an act on talent management? And let me bet you, if that message gets to government, they will listen to it. Because government, they really like laws. Am I right? Okay, there's no shortage of laws in South Africa. But isn't it sad that it's necessary for government to have a skills development law so that you can train your people? It's really a sad day that government must tell people that they have to train. So skills development and talent is absolutely critical if we want to be effective. So as far as the business case for talent is concerned, the top strategic people priorities globally is, of course, attraction, growth, retention, and engagement of the critical talent that we need in our organization. Secondly, high performance, high flexibility, high commitment organization design and culture. You will never have a good talent management system if we don't create the culture for talent. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, is leadership excellence. You cannot run an organization if you don't have good leadership. And you can take any major business scandal or any major business failure, analyze the reasons. The top reason is always a gap in leadership. I really want to encourage the South African HR community to really double their efforts as far as leadership development is concerned. If you fix leadership development, you fix your organization, you fix South Africa. And that's where we really want to be as far as talent is concerned. A few years back, Clem Santa made this statement. He said, the most important attribute of a world-class company is the ability to track, develop, and keep talented young people so that they turn into talented old people, like him. Okay, and that's what we really want to achieve, to be able to say, we've got this youth, we've got this talent in South Africa, but we really develop that talent so that people can really optimize and leverage and do their best as far as their work is concerned. Why is talent strategic? It affects our ability to implement our business strategy timelessly. And I'm going to show you later statistics about why businesses are sometimes failing or why CEOs get worried about the talent that we have in organizations. To help us to capitalize on future opportunities, there are so many opportunities out there, but we're not leveraging those opportunities because we don't have the right talent in place to make that happen. To deliver leading-edge products and services who does not want to deliver good products and services to their customers? And lastly, but very importantly, to attain and to sustain operational excellence so that we can achieve the goals of our organization. That is why talent is strategic and why it is so important. As far as implementing talent management, we need to look at the operational, the tactical, and strategic talent perspective and alignment in the organization. Of course, you need talent next year. 1st of January, you need to appoint people for next year. But you also need to look at the year after that. And maybe you've got a 5-year view, or like in the government's case, they've got a view until 2030. And from that, we need to be able to build the talent for South Africa. So you've got immediate, intermediate, and long-term talent management for your organization, and then you need to have an integrated, holistic, and systemic perspective approach and process to talent that really works for your organization, for your industry, and ultimately for South Africa as a country. Okay, when we developed the HR competency model the previous year, I'm not going to show the whole model for you for the sake of time, but as you would see there, talent management has been identified as the second most important competency. Let me just go back there quickly. Talent management has been identified as the second competency right from the top. Okay, so your strategy is absolutely key, and then secondly, as an HR capability, talent management is the second capability that we as HR people really need to focus on, embrace, and achieve competence in if we want to be effective as HR professionals. So it's a competency that we have to master and that we have to really be good at if we really want to make it work. The top facts about talent is very interesting, is the fact that talent is not an HR issue, it's a business issue. I mean, look there, human capital is the biggest concern for CEOs. CEOs do worry about the talent in their organizations. They've got sleepless nights about it. Look at that second one. Only 18% of CEOs feel confident that they have the right people in place to execute the strategy. Okay. The vast majority of CEOs think they don't have the right people with the right talent in order to implement the business strategy. Human capital is the biggest risk in business. The skills crisis is the top obstacle to economic growth. I mean, look at our neighbors. How our neighbors are growing 9%, 12%, 13%. Why are we lagging behind in terms of economic performance? So clearly, talent is the top priority on the people agenda. So if we would have a national imperative, I would say that we really take talent and in the spirit of Rising Star, that we really focus on developing the type of talent that we could and should be having in our companies and for South Africa. That is the reason why we've launched the South African HR Standards Project, because we've learned that standards really help us to boost business. Yes, we can say talent is a nice thing to do, therefore do it. But what if only 100 companies are implementing talent management? It's not going to take South Africa at the level of economic growth where it should be. And therefore, standards are absolutely critical for us to be effective in the way in which we manage our people and the way in which we plan to grow the economy. So we've developed last year's the South African HR System Standards Model. And as you can see from that model, that talent management is right at the top. Okay, in the middle there. We said talent management is so critical that as a strategic imperative, that it needs to be one of the 3 strategic imperatives for us to really get our business right. And that's not HR jobs, it's the top management team, and of course HR needs to provide a lot of support and implementation for us to get that right, but it's right at the top of the model. Therefore, you cannot have an effective HR management if you do not have talent management embedded. And sadly, certain sectors for years and decades have built their business models without talent. Okay, and the security industry is probably the best example of that. They've tried to build a model on cheap labor, take the guy who could not make it in the police, make him a security officer, and there he works for cheap labor for the next 40 years. The whole business model is against talent management. Okay, and that's what we need to change if we really want to get South Africa to work effectively. And that's why talent management is so key as an important standard for us. Okay, so what we have done, we have developed the standards, including talent management, and you'll be able, if you want to have a look at the exhibition today, this is the South African HR management standards for the country, and incidentally, it's also the first set of HR standards in the world, national HR standards. So the talent management standard is in here, and I'll quickly show it to you on the slide so that you can have a nice view of what it is really all about. And we also have taken it into a very nice model for you like this, that you can just see very briefly what the standard is telling you what you should be doing in the organization. There at the back, you'll see there's a few bigger examples for those of you, when you exit for tea, you can also have a look at that. So the whole purpose was to say, if we want to make talent as a fabric of South African society, we need a proper standard that will guide us in terms of ensuring that talent is implemented effectively. Okay, so that is the file on the left-hand side. The file on the right-hand side is the professional practice standards. That's where we look at other type of standards that you will need to support your overall standards of the system. For instance, succession planning, mentoring and coaching, onboarding. All of those are critical elements of your overall human capital and talent management value chain that you need to get right in your organization. And those standards really help us to ensure that you build effective HR and talent management systems in your organization. The supporters from the HR community, business community has been fantastic. There is just about 40 of the, about 1,000 companies who have embraced this particular project. And as you can see there's some nice companies and not so nice companies, but the fact is they have embraced standards and saying, if we want to get HR right, if we want to embrace a talent revolution, this is where we really need to start and improve things for our organizations. Okay, as you indicated there, talent is right at the center of the model. So that standard, I'm just going to extract that for you that you can just see for today how you can utilize the talent management standard for the benefit of your organization. But it does not mean the other standards are less important, but talent management is absolutely key if we want to improve HR practice. So what we have done, and it was in a room like this, almost 500 HR managers from all 9 provinces and 5 other countries came to Johannesburg last year, and this is how they have defined what talent management should mean for the average South African company. And they said it's a proactive design implementation of an integrated talent-driven organization strategy directed to attracting, deploying, developing, and retaining and optimizing the appropriate talent requirements as identified in the workforce plan to ensure sustainable organization. In short, bring in the right organization, develop them, deploy them, put them in the right situation, ensure that you've got a proper plan, and drive the sustainability and effectiveness of your organization. That, in essence, without any textbooks, this is what the South African average HR manager is saying, what talent management should mean for us if we really want to get this right. That's the good news. The bad news is that I don't think all line managers are as excited as we are about talent. Look at that guy there. He says, our employees are our greatest asset. Therefore, I say, let's sell them. Okay. I spoke to one CEO last month who said to me, things about talent management is absolutely fantastic, and I believe if I can get this right, my business will be so effective. He says, but I've just got one problem. I said to him, what is that? He turned around and he said, I don't have any talent in my organization. Okay, and if that, unfortunately, is the view of senior managers in South Africa, we've got a problem with that. Okay, but fortunately, there are very dynamic leaders who want to drive a talent culture. Why? Because they know they can't run a profitable business without talent. And that is what we can achieve if we really want to focus on the right thing, and why it's necessary for us to really lobby and drive and support and coach line management so that they can implement proper talent management at their place. So what we have done as far as the objectives of talent management, with those HR managers, we set certain objectives to help us to get the right framework and mindset regarding talent in organization. And typically it revolved around those things that we, first of all, and I'm very glad that I've mentioned that, we need to build a talent culture in the organization. So I was so glad to see that they could see the essence of getting the right culture in place. Then they said we have to identify strategically, critically positioned and leadership roles and capabilities in the organization. So that is the strategic focus on your critical positions. And then thirdly, you have to put in place your processes and systems that will drive talent, from attraction through to the level of assessment. Number 4, they have agreed on appropriate roles for relevant stakeholders in development and management of talent. And lastly, we have to monitor and report on talent management key results, areas, and indicators. In a nutshell, this is what we want to achieve in the average South African organization if we want to get talent management right in an effective and a sustainable way. Okay, we've then unpacked the standard in a process format, and there you can see the typical process that you need to focus on. You will have to start with your talent management philosophy, your principles, and your approach right at the top. You need leadership and your key competencies for your organization. You have to identify the talent needs, and that should come from your workforce plan. You have to do a labor market analysis to see what is the gap in terms of supply and demand. From that, you can do forecast. You must do talent reviews to see where your organization is. And then at the bottom, you must be able to put all of this into a talent management system that will work for your organizations with the type of audits you put in place, your development plans, your succession plans, all of those good things. And then the last red block here, your talent management intervention. Those are the typical things that you will be able to do to ensure that your talent management is being implemented effectively. And that is where HR will have a huge role, together with your talent councils and the line management forums that you have, where line management together with HR needs to drive effective talent management. And ultimately, this helps you to create strategic talent management. Okay, what I'm saying about this is not about changing the name of the HR manager from personnel manager to HR manager to talent manager. See, some companies do that. Okay, if HR does not work, we call it human capital manager. If human capital manager does not work, let's call it talent management. It sounds more sexy and so on. This is not what this is about. This is about adopting a very strategic view of talent in your organization, and not only in your organization, in your industry and broader society. Because you may fix talent for your own organization, but next month or next year you appoint people from other organizations, and yet again you have to start at step 0 again. That we really embrace a more integrated approach to effective talent management in organizations. So the standard is there, and in the standard file it tells you exactly what you need to do under each one of those blocks in order to make talent management work for your organization. Okay, that is my story. I think what you can see here is talent management should be strategically positioned in organizations. It is intended to really help managers and HR professionals to play a much more proactive role in driving a more strategic approach to talent in organizations. I think what we need to do in South Africa is to really harness talent in a better and more systemic way. And we really need to take these rising stars and really help them to be effective. The one thing in South Africa, and this is what I've really learned from the Americans are brilliant when it comes to celebrations. I don't think we've got enough celebrations here in South Africa. If you look at the way in which they appreciate their staff, and they've got all these continuous celebrations and reward and recognition, I think we need more of that. So the rising star concept, I think, is a brilliant idea, and all of us must actually have rising stars in our companies. And we really support them and elevate and help them to be successful. If we fail in talent management, as a nation, we will fail. We will not achieve the targets. You know, the Millennium Goal targets is just 4 months away, then we must achieve the Millennium Goals target. I can tell you now, we will not achieve the Millennium targets. The next big thing is 2030 National Development Plan. We will not achieve the NDP if we don't get talent management right. And it starts with each one of us, in our organizations, in our sectors, in our industries, to really celebrate and to really build proper talent management framework for South Africa. That is my story. Thank you very much. Good luck to all the wonderful work that you're doing. Let us build talent. Let's utilize this summit so that we can really elevate talent management to the national level in terms of strategic significance. Thank you very much.